Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Iris here, and today I will be ranking every single Pokemon in Regulation G. This includes normal Pokemon and restricted legendaries. Now, I will be skipping over Pokemon that I've no use talking about, like Lily, for example, but yeah. Let's start with Raichu. Raichu is interesting. I'm gonna put it in C tier, purely because, yeah, well, it has Lightning Rod, it has Fake Out, it has Feint, it has Endeavor, so it has a niche. It can clearly wall out Miraidon if necessary. I guess it has a niche, but I don't know if it's worth it. For example, Among Us can wall out Miraidon much better, but it is definitely useful if you really want to. Dugtrio, I'm putting it in D. I'm only mentioning because Arena Trap is an interesting ability. Golduck turns off abilities, but you have Pokemon do it better. There's no real reason to use it, but I guess it is usable to shut down all weathers, maybe shut out some photosynthesis strategies. Arcanine, I mean, it's still a fire type, it still has Intimidate, but Incineroar just does everything it does completely better. It's just outclassed. Let's see, Alola Muk, I mean, it used to have a niche with some really gross stuff, but I think it just gets completely smacked by the spread moves everywhere. I don't think it's worth using, but I guess if someone is crazy enough to try, then be crazy enough to try. Golden Go, I'm gonna put it in B tier. Yes, you have better ghost types, but it does look on your restricted slots. It is also it is also obviously weak to Calyrex Shadow. However, with White Guard support, it is still gonna do. It's just gonna hit it, and then you can set up some nasty plots and just start doing big damage. Wo-Chien, it's Wo-Chien. It goes in C tier. Its typing really holds it back. That quad weakness to bug in U-turn is painful. However, it does lower attack, which in this metagame is more useful. So it could, for example, wall out Groudon, although it does of course have the fire type move. It has a niche, but I think it's good enough. Chien-Pao, oh, this is difficult. ARS. It's early meta. Hyper offense is strong, so I'll be saying yes. It does. It just does damage on its own, and it supports its teammates' soul. It packs a punch itself and lets its teammates pack so much harder of a punch. Ting Lu is interesting. I'm actually gonna put this in A tier. A friend of mine, Drax, big shout out to him, Drax Lottle. He actually made a team with this on Calyrex Ice, which is incredibly strong. It walls out some Pokemon. It's a great answer into Calyrex Shadow. It is just a solid Pokemon for defensive teams. Chi-Yu, I mean, my literal channel is named after this fish. It is my favorite Pokemon, and it has to go in A tier. It's being able to, with the incredible strong special attackers around now, Pokemon like Calyrex Shadow, Miraidon, stuff like that. It can just make those Pokemon even stronger, hit even harder, and it just does good damage on its own. It also gets Snarl to help out, so Choice Scarf sets are going to be strong. I mean, Focus Sash with Nasty Blood could probably find a niche, and, well, just Choice Specs will just always be strong. Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon is an interesting spot. It is a dark type with knockoff and booster speed, meaning it can deal big damage into Calyrex Shadow. The problem is there are a lot of other dragon types. There are other potential tailwind setters, so I'm going to put it in B because it does do great into Calyrex Ice Shadow, but there's just so many painful things like Calyrex Ice that I just mentioned. Now, I am a firm believer in Iron Valiant. I truly believe Iron Valiants on teams with Miraidon are incredibly strong. It gets Wide Guard, Feints, Icy Wind, Spirit Break, Close Combat. And Encore, it gets every coverage move under the sun, and it just gets a booster. It can now have booster speed, and it can now have booster speed, and it can have Focus Sash. I am a firm believer. I am putting it top of B tier. None of these are ranked within, but if I had to rank it, it would be top of B tier. I truly, really believe in it. It's just that it needs Electric Train to be strong. Irrelevant. Gyarados, I mean, it's water type. It has Intimidate. It has a niche. But I guess it gets smacked so hard, so I can't put anything below above C tier. Honestly, no. There's just so much that hurts it now. I'm afraid all of these are going. Oh, this is really difficult. Where do you put these? I guess this can go in C. There's a better one for snow teams now. It gets Trickleman that I guess. So I don't know. Yeah, it's really hard. Dragonite. Now Dragonite's an interesting case because it still packs so hard of a punch. I am putting this. I haven't really seen people use it much, but I do believe it will be picked up later. I will be putting this in B tier as well. It is. It hits so hard, even next to Chien Pao, Choice Band, Assault Vest, everything. It just tanks hits, and it's so strong. It is an amazing Pokemon still. Let's see, what's the next great Pokemon to talk about? I mean, Scizor, it hits Flutter Mane, it's bulky, it has Technician. I am putting this in C tier. I think it can be explored and it might have a use case, as it could very effectively beat Calyrex Ice, for example. It could be a good Calyrex Ice counter. So I think there's definitely a niche case there, and I think somebody should look into it. Pelipper. Pelipper is interesting. I am putting this honestly in B tier, as Rain is still strong. Obviously, you don't have Kyogre, but Kyogre picks up your restricted slot. And really important, this thing gets Wide Guard. The Wide Guard is so strong in the current meta. Like, it walls out so many things. It is such a strong thing because there are so many Pokemon with strong spread moves, which is why I'm putting it in bottom of B tier, if I had to rank it. Okay. Now, I have seen some people believe in Umbreon. I haven't really seen the power of it yet, but I've seen people talk about it. It gets Snarl, it gets Moonlight, I believe, Foul Play, so I'll put it in B tier. I've heard a lot of people talk good about it. I haven't really seen it yet, but we'll see. Who knows? T-Tar, C tier. There's a great fighting type now. Everything just hit its way too hard. There are way too much water competition. I think I have to put it in D tier. It's so crazy to put T-Tar in D tier, Tyranitar. But I don't think it can be put higher in any reasonable situation. Breloom, it has a niche for I'll put it in D tier for Fastspore, but it just gets hit so hard. Torkoal, I'm gonna put Torkoal in B tier. People have kind of forgotten about it, but on Trick Room teams, which are really strong with Calyrex Ice now, it still hits so hard. It can be such a good late game cleaner. So I do think it's strong on Trick Room teams, and people have just kind of forgotten about it. See, what's the next logical Pokemon to talk about? Salamence. Now, Salamence is interesting. It has the same problems as Roaring Moon, but it does get Intimidate, and for that I can put it in C tier. As Intimidate is bulky, it gets Tailwinds, and it is possible to hit a lot of things. So I am putting it in C tier for the only good special attacking Intimidator. What's the next one to talk about? I should clear this out. Okay, people are gonna scream at me if I don't pick this. Pachirisu, it gets Follow Me, it gets Fold Up Sword. I'll put it in C tier as an effective counter to, with their Fairy, could be an effective counter into a Miraidon. So I'll put it in there in case your team is really weak to it. I suppose it could have a niche. Swift Swim, but there's a better Pokemon to do it now. It's honestly D tier, sadly. However sad it is to see it go there. Garchomp. Honestly, this is difficult. I'm gonna put it in C tier. I do think it could be good. There's obviously a good electric type now, but it has so many issues still. So yeah, I mean, it's Garchomp, it's a pseudo legendary, it hits hard, but I don't know. I don't seriously use the reason to use it that over, say, Landorus Therian with Choice Scarf, which is still, it just hits harder. Let's see. No. Gallade is interesting. We've seen it in Trick Room Size Spam teams lost in Regulation F, but it's C tier. I mean, it's still good on Size Spam. It gets Wide Guard. It gets Wide Guard. It's one of the slowest Pokemon to get Wide Guard in Trick Room. I'm going to put it here because it does help out certain team members incredibly well. It's Weather, but it's Bomb and Snow, which really holds it back. I forgot to talk about Bonsong. Bulky, Trick Room, but there's no strong, massive fairy type. But it does wall out. It does wall out Calyrex Ice really well. For that, I can put it in C tier as a niche case there. Alright, Heatran. Heatran is such an interesting case. The problem is there is now a good ground type. I can't put it above C tier. It's a good ground type, good fighting type. Lander, Landorus Incarnate, I do believe will still be in a lot of teams. So yeah, putting it anything above this, just it hurts to put it there, but I don't think I can put it anywhere higher. Let's see, what's the next one? Sun teams after you, Sleep Powder. With two great Sun abusers, I think it has a use. I truly believe it's be Sleep Powder after you, big damage, like it Focus Sash. Yeah, I think it can genuinely have a niche. This one is just Lilligant is silly but worse, so we're putting it in the C tier. But it does have the same tool set. So if you're really a special attacker, you can have it. Volcarona, another really interesting one. Volcarona is bulky, it's got Quiver Dance, but it's Volcarona sadly in a... it's Volcarona in a restricted format. It gets Quiver Dance, but it gets outclassed, I'm afraid. I love Volcarona, but I can't put it anywhere higher. Tornadus, easy S tier, honestly. Bulky, Prankster, Tailwind, all the weathers, Bleak Wind Storm, Taunt, Scary Face, need I say more. This thing is so incredibly strong. It's so good on Tailwind teams. There's Thunderous. I'll put it in C tier. It gets Prankster, it gets the same tools, but it's Thunder Wave instead of Tailwind, so it's just worse, but it does get Electric Stab, I suppose. I mean, this hits hard, it can work on rain teams, but it has the same issues as it's not bulky enough. It has no way of hitting certain types, and it gets no consistent flying stab, and there's a lot of ways to hit flying types in this meta, especially Chi and Pao. Oh, this is an interesting one that I forgot to talk about. Lunala. Lunala. Yeah, it's so tough to Cresselia. It's so tough to rank it because they are much better now, but it does still get the same tools. So I'll put it bottom of B tier. It's not bad. It's not at the same party. It's higher than these Pokemon, but I don't know. There's gonna be a bit in between tier, but I'd say B minus if that rank existed. Landorus Therian. I mean, it's still an amazing Pokemon. It hits hard. Yes, it's a bit outclassed now, but it hits so many Pokemon so hard, and I truly believe it's strong. Landorus Incarnate, I'm gonna put this in B tier. I've been testing it out. It feels really strong. It hits like a truck. I think we just have to look past the Scarf set we used to run, look for new options, and I truly believe this thing is an incredible Pokemon right now. Samurott. I mean, it's Samurott. Always use this one. But yeah, I mean, it says spikes. Nah, restricted. I'm afraid it has to go in D tier. It's so outclassed, but I guess it has a niche. Gothitelle, it can trap Pokemon. It allows for cheeky strategies, but it's still very niche. Alright, let's see. Amoonguss. It's Amoonguss. It's the greatest Pokemon. Well, not the greatest. It's one of the greatest of all time. It's now the trans ally somehow. It goes in S tier. It's the only place it can go. It's an amazing Pokemon. It's redirection, spore, incredibly slow, incredibly bulky, giving you an answer into so many different teams. Let's see, what's the next one that we have to rank? No. Let's see, what's the logical one to rank? I'm skipping over quite a few just in case like they're not strong enough, because they're not strong enough. Sylveon. Sylveon is interesting. It does get Calm Mind. It gets Hyper Voice, of course. It gets healing moves. It gets a priority move. Its ability is amazing. There are so many dragon types. I think it has a niche. It goes in C tier. Let's see. Where were we? We'll get to those later. I just want to put it in because I put it in. It's so bad. Let's see. Gumshoes, no. I mean, it can use sand, it can do some cheeky stuff with Tyranitar, but it gets hit so hard, but it does have somewhat of a use, I suppose. Serena, I do think is interesting. My first ever shiny, interestingly. It can stop prankster moves, which is obviously strong, but it's so outclassed. But grass type stab is never bad. It gets triple axle again, so I guess for that we can put it in C. There's so many Pokemon there. No, I think Mimikyu has an interesting case. Yes, it can't use Sash anymore. It can use set Trick Room. It's still really hard hitting. I'll put it in C just because of the niche cases it has. Corviknight. Corviknight is interesting. It doesn't wall Pokemon as well as it used to be. I think it has to go in D. It hits way too soft, honestly. The Pokemon it used to wall, it doesn't wall anymore. Even Groudon just gets Heat Crash now and just hits it for so much damage. Yes, it's obviously not going to do as much because it's also a heavy Pokemon, but it's still the fire damage with their fire kind of stab. It just a significant amount of damage. So yeah, I don't know. It doesn't wall Pokemon nearly as well as it used to. Rillaboom, it's easy S tier. It sets up terrain, it has Fake Out, Grassy Glide, it hits like a truck with Wood Hammer, it gets a coverage move or U-turn. It's an incredible, both supportive and offensive Pokemon. Use it, your team will, almost every team will be better with a, almost every single team will be better with a Rillaboom. So yes, if you, like, yeah, just put it in if you want to put it in. Like, it will most likely fit. Now, Hatterene is an interesting case. I'm gonna put it in like middle of C tier. Like I said, it's not ranked with him, but if I had to, it'd be middle of C tier. It's very strong. It does still get Expanding Force. Yes, other Pokemon Expanding Force, but it does have interesting uses for sure. Music. Okay, it's Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl, it's restricted. It hits Pokemon hit harder, so you want to mitigate it more. On certain teams, like Terrapagos, I think it's very strong, very top of C tier. It does get Fake Out. It gets so many supporters options, but it has the problem of 4-move syndrome. Dragapult. What to do with Dragapult? It's no longer just the fastest thing. I think it has to, honestly. I mean, it hits hard. It's still a good hitting ghost type. I'll put it in C tier. It just gets smacked by Calyrex Shadow, who is now faster, and just one-shots it. So I guess you could use some Scarf stuff, but it feels more like close team sheets. Both Urshifus. Honestly, Urshifu Dark, sadly, we're using the wrong sprite, so you can't see it. But Urshifu Dark in A tier, Urshifu S in Water. Yeah, Urshifu Water in S tier, easily. Urshifu Water. It is so strong and it's so hard. And Urshifu Dark, it walls out. It really confidently walls out any Calyrex that doesn't have Fairy move. It hits like a truck. Sucker Punch smacks it. It is such a good Pokemon. Yeah, it is. We all know it. We've all seen it. It's incredible. Regieleki. It is still the fastest Pokemon. It gets Electro Web. I think it can have a niche case beating Calyrex Shadow with Icy Wind. I mean, it can hit. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt and put it in C tier. Let's see. Now this is a really interesting one. I'm gonna put it in C tier as well, but yeah, it is probably a bit higher. It still hits like a truck. Put a Scarf on it and you just watch Pokemon fall. The main problem is its main damaging move is spread, and so many teams have answers into spread moves now, sadly. So it does lose a bit of some power there. Honestly, both Ice Rider and Glastrier and Spectrier just use the actual Calyrex forms. They outclass it in every single way. These are interesting. Luna, I'm gonna put this in A tier. I have to test it out a bit. It still hits so hard. It's still a significant Pokemon. I truly believe it hits so much, and with significant special defense increase, it can just one-shot Calyrex Shadow. It can actually hit. It does speed tie with Calyrex Ice, which is an issue, but it can hit it for so incredibly much damage. It's honestly insane. Let's see. This is an interesting one because I'm gonna put it in B tier because we have a good range setter now, like meaning it can take a bit of advantage of its ability and just hit really hard. I think it's definitely a Pokemon we can explore. Yeah, B tier is a good tier for it. I'm not even gonna talk about this because it's basically just impossible to get legitimately. I mean, contrary, superpower, C tier for that, but it gets hit so hard, it gets outpower crept. Meowscarada, it's C tier as well. It's not fast enough anymore. It doesn't hit hard enough anymore. But it is a good cross type Pokemon, and it gets Sucker Punch to hit Calyrex Ice, Shadow, and of course it hits Groudon for a good amount of damage. So I guess if you really wanted this there, yeah, both of these are honestly it is so hardly power crept. I am putting both of where's the other one? I am putting them both in the D tier. There's so many Pokemon now, it's insane. Let's see. Palmots. I mean, it gets Revival Blessing, it gets Fake Out, so for that I'll put it in the C tier. It's niche, but it would work. Armrouge is good wide guard, just for that I put it in C tier. I don't think you're gonna be able to make this work anymore through a ledge. I love it, but it's sadly I'm afraid it's not gonna be functioning in any good way anymore. Let's see. No, it's not worth it. Glimmora, that's an interesting one. I do think Glimmora has some use cases. I have been testing it out on the Lunala team with like a Slowpoke Lunala team. I do really like it. It does good damage, but actually I'll put it in B tier. I do think it's still strong enough, but it does really get power crept, sadly. Dondozo Tatsugiri, I can finally put it in C tier. This thing has been the bane of my existence for a long time. I hated those Dosugiri, but now with legendaries, there's no good reason to run them anymore. I can finally put them in C tier. Good riddance. You will not be missed by a lot of the community. Farigiraf, A tier. Honestly, the incredible support it gives, it is so good. Well, so much. It can stop Fake Out. It can set Trick Room. Honestly, it's so good. Just genuine A tier. It is such a good Pokemon. Excalibur. I'll talk about Excalibur. I accidentally clicked on it, but it's fine. I'm gonna put it in B. Yes, it's Dragon type. Yes, it's an Ice type, but it does still get good damage. I think it's worth testing at least. I might be very wrong on this. It might have to go lower. I will take full blame, full responsibility, but I think it can have some use, and I think a team can be built with it. King Gambit. It's King Gambit. I will put it in B just because it beats Calyrex Shadow. As you can tell, beating Calyrex Shadow instantly gets you plus points here. Do we have to talk about every single Paradox Pokemon? Not worth it. Screamtail. Screamtail is definitely a good one to talk about. I am a firm Screamtail believer for this metagame. There are so many Pokemon who either want to set up, click Fake Out, or get them into a move that they don't want to, or have a move they want to spam. Encore, Disable, it gets good coverage moves, like it gets good support of other tools. I think it's definitely really good on setup teams like Calm Minds. Trapper goes, try it out, it will surprise you, I promise. It is truly incredible right now. Fluttermane, it's insane to not put it in S, but it gets smacked by Calyrex Shadow. It's Fluttermane. You can't deny the incredible supportive options that Fluttermane offers. A tier. Let's see. Iron Bundle. Iron Bundle is an interesting one. It suffers from the same thing as Iron Valiant, where it needs it doesn't need it at least. So I'm gonna put this low of A because it outspeeds 4 Pokemon right now. It outspeeds Groudon, Miraidon, Fluttermane, Unshiempao. If Ice coverage is so strong right now, Water coverage is pretty solid. I think it's incredibly strong here. Let's see. Iron Hands, B tier. It gets an actual ability now, but it does collide with 2 different abilities. It does collide with the same typing, and it is still slow. Maybe on the Trick Room team, I refuse to put it any lower because it has been so good, and I'm delusional. Now I think that Iron Jugulus is incredibly strong. I'm putting it in A tier. Iron Jugulus, it gets Steel and Snarl, it's faster than Calyrex Shadow, it gets amazing supportive options, it gets Taunt, on the Rain teams it gets Hurricane, it is just genuinely, I believe, it can be a good Pokemon now. Try it out, it will surprise you. Iron Moth, I think it has a niche case on Miraidon teams where it can click Acid Spray, and so that Miraidon can just bonk through everything. Oh, I forgot to rank Hisuian Arcanine. I mean, it's Hisuian Arcanine. It's gonna still be strong. Um, it gets intimidated. Gets with the right supporting options. I think it's B tier because intimidate is obviously still incredibly valuable. Don't sleep on it. All right, let's see. What's the next one? These starters irrelevant. This is interesting. I am putting this in C tier. It is very outclassed now by other weather setters, but it can cancel out the rest of the weather setters. Plus, it gets a Roarville, which cannot be ignored, and it is a good partner for Pokemon. I'll talk about it a bit later. Let's see, Clefairy, B tier. Honestly, I have seen people use it with Follow Me and make it slow. Use Follow Me next to Calyrex. A shadow, so you can just keep spamming even in Trick Room. It's a cool niche case. It gets Follow Me. It's incredibly bulky with EV Light. It gets Heal Pulse. It's truly a Pokemon that I believe in. Let's see what's the next Pokemon to talk about. I am honestly, it is so difficult to say. I'll put it in B. I haven't seen much with it, but it does seem really strong with multiple Sunsetters. It hits like a truck. It's truly strong. It's just too reliant on sun, I'm afraid. Where's the other one? Where's Iron Leaves? I just saw it. There it is. Iron Leaves is Iron Leaves. What can I say about it? I mean, I'll put it in C. It's really reliant on both terrain, but it's still so weak. I guess it has some use now. I still can't firmly believe in it. This is missing the Ogerpons. Well, honestly, I'm just putting, considering something one, I'm putting Ogerpon S tier. Ogerpon Water, even Ogerpon Rock is, I would honestly put in, Ogerpon Rock I put in B tier. Ogerpon Teal I put in C tier. But yeah, and the other two, they are easy S. They are staples, they are strong, they get incredible support options, they hit like a truck, they get this, they get their increased bonus, they are incredibly strong. Yeah, it will be a meta staple, I think, for the rest of Scarlet and Violet. Alright, let's see. Okidogi, Monkey Dory, Pheasantipity. Let's get them all three up so we can talk about them together because they all suffer from the same problem, which is their typing. Well, for Pheasantipity it's everything, but for the rest of the two it's definitely typing. Alright, let's see. I am putting Okidogi, it gets Intimidate, but it's just, there are ground types everywhere now, there's a Psychic type. C and both other ones are going in D. Let's see. It gets Hospitality, it gets Rage Powder. I'll put it in C just for that. The Trick Room as well, I suppose. Let's see. What we're talking about. This is actually an interesting one. I am a firm hater on Archadodon. I think it's not good, but I have seen people play it successfully. It gets rain support now. I'll put it in B tier. It gets like a good rain setter that can do offensive pressure. I think it can actually carve some wins. Gouging Fire. It's such a strange mon, isn't it? Honestly, I'm putting it in A tier. Howl support. It gets Snarl. It gets Breaking Swipe. Heat Crash. It is such a good Pokemon on so many archetypes. It goes in A tier. Iron Boulder, I can genuinely put it in B tier now that it gets terrain support, which means it can now easily run Clear Amulet and Sword Dance with Speed Booster. I think that definitely has a use case. So yeah, feel free to test it out and tell me how it works. Let's see, where are those other two? I just saw them. I'm completely blind, as you can see. The other Pokemon I missed. Well, I am so blind. What the heck? Well, let's talk about this Pokemon then for now. Oh, there. Okay. Raging Bolt. I'm putting this still in A tier. It is still an incredible Pokemon. It does so much damage on Sun teams. It really hits like a truck. It just, try it out. It is still so strong. It still does the same stuff that it did back in Regulation F. Iron Crown, I'm afraid it's officially outclassed. I have to put it. I love it. I made an incredible team. Me and Killian made a team. He had so much success with it, including a top 12 finish in Liverpool. It is honestly incredible, but I'm afraid it's just heavily outclassed now. Rest in peace. You will be dearly missed by me. Let's see. It's the supercomputer. It hits hard, but it's just so power crept. It has to go in C, I'm afraid. Let's see. Next on our list. What's the logical next one to talk about? It's honestly, it's outclassed, 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 outclassed. Mienfao. It is. I genuinely think it goes in A tier. White guard, fake out, feign, taunt, close combats. It gets so many supportive options. It can't be intimidated. It can't be fake outed. It just it hits everything. It's such a good Pokemon in the current meta, at least, because it was had so much. I am very curious to see how it develops later. Let's see. Whimsicott. I think Whimsicott can go very high of B tier because of Encore. There are so many Pokemon who don't want to face an Encore Pokemon, which is where I think the niche comes from. Put Encore on, give it Tailwind, Moonblast, maybe a weather setting, weather setter, maybe Protect, give it Focus Sash, and watch it actually carve out some wins with it. I have seen it work. It is incredible. Just try and test it. Just build a bunch of teams. Let's see. I mean, Incineroar, do we even have to talk about it? Fake out, parting shots. It does good damage with Flare Blitz. It gets knockoff. It gets Snarl. It gets U-turn for Assault Vest sets. It is an incredible Pokemon. To never sleep on Incineroar. It is most likely the best Pokemon in the entire format. Do not sleep on it. Play it, test it. It is incredible. Let's see. Let's see. Last Pokemon before I get to the restricted is Blood Moon. I'm gonna put it in B tier. It still hits really hard. It can hit ghost types. It is still a good Pokemon. Yeah, it is definitely worth exploring. Alright, here we go. Everything restricted. Mewtwo. It's incredible. It's so weird to say it is, but it has to go in C tier. It gets walled by dark types. Yes, it gets covered. Yes, it gets Stellar. But then what? What's it gonna do? It's not gonna hit much. It's gonna get smacked by Calyrex Shadow. It is. I'm afraid it can't do much. It is not fully armed, by the way. Lugia. It feels so weird to be putting this in part of Mewtwo, but it gets multi-skill, it gets Calm Minds, it is an incredible special defense, and yeah, it gets good flying stab to hit a lot of the strong meta Pokemon. So yeah, it gets Earth Power, give it Stream support, and watch it flourish. Kyurem, I mean, I guess it has the same problem as Mewtwo. There's no reason to use it over any other Pokemon. I guess, yeah, just put it in C tier, honestly. I would honestly almost put it in D tier, but it's still restricted. Let's see. Honestly, me and a couple of friends of mine have built a team with it. I truly believe Terapagos is S tier. Terapagos does incredible damage. It can Calm Mind to give it the red support, maybe with Scream Tail, Incineroar. It is incredible. It hits so much. Just give it a test. If you like setup balance, this is your Pokemon. Let's see. Miraidon. Also Pokemon some people have stopped believing in. I am one of those people. I believe it's S tier. It hits so hard. It is the team I'm playing right now. It's just give it choice specs, maybe even give it Calm Mind, Assault Vest. It hits so hard, it wins you games. Alright, let's go Miraidon first. Koraidon. Sunsetter. Honestly, also S tier. It gets Clear Amulet. It can smack so much. You can even give it a Sword Stand set with loaded. You can even give it a Sword Stand set with loaded dice and Skill Shot to just spam that away. So yeah, it gets Speed Boost. There's so much this thing can do. Just try it. You will like it. Let's see. Honestly, it goes in B tier. The main reason why I like it is for close team sheets. In close team sheets, I think it's incredible. It gets every set on the moon. It has Toxic Stall, it has Choice Specs, Life Orb, it can have setup with Meteor Beam. It gets everything. Yes, it doesn't have an ability, but in close team sheets, it is a real menace and a real thing to worry about. So that's it. Let's see. Wait, do I have that? No. Okay. Let's see. Zamazenta. I'm putting this in B as well. I'll put it in A tier. It gets wide guard. It gets iron defense, body press. It does hit so much. It is so strong, but it does need quite heavy support. Zacian. I'm putting it in A as well. The main problem is it can't get that attack boost back once it loses it, unless it runs something like either Sword Stance, which I shouldn't do because you get rolled by fire types most likely, on steel types. But you could run it next to Gouging Fire, get a few Howl boosts, and actually start sweeping games. So it is still very fast. It's just the nerf was really bad. D tier, honestly, it does nothing. Run Mewtwo over it. I don't even know what to say about it. As soon as I run Mewtwo. Is there an F tier? No. It does nothing. It has 80 stats all around except for HP, which is 100. It's just so bad. I am putting. I am a firm believer of Lunala. Lunala, I believe, can be A tier. I have been testing a few sets with it. Honestly, it has impressed me so much. It is an incredible Pokemon. Test it out. See for yourself. It is so strong. It gets Expanding Force, which not many people have thought about, but also just Meteor Beam, which does so much damage. Moongeist Beam, which just hits so hard and ignores abilities. It is an incredibly good Pokemon. Solgaleo is an interesting case. It is a balanced Pokemon it's a balanced Pokemon in an entire metagame where balanced Pokemon are not good enough. But it's immune to Intimidate. It gets a lot of good coverage moves. It gets Wide Guard. Test it out. It is incredible. Like I say, just try as many restrictions as you want, as you can, so you learn it fast. It is an advice that I give to a lot of my friends. Just try. I am putting Zekrom in here as well, purely because Clear Amulet, Dragon Dance, and we have seen Dragon plus Electric being great offensive combinations. It has I truly think Dragon Dance has a use. I don't want to say try it again, but yeah, try it again. Reshiram, it goes in C tier. It gets outclassed, but I guess Choice Scarf, Heat Wave, or even Fusion Flare if you don't want the spread. I guess it has a use, but I don't think it's going to be strong. Giratina, honestly, I feel it hurts, but I'm gonna put it in D tier. It has nothing going for it. It is a bad Pokemon in a metagame of broken Pokemon. Let's see. I am going to talk about both forms here of Palkia, and I think they both go in C tier. Low B tier. Low B tier. Yes, you are faster with Origin form, but even then, you hit harder. But it doesn't do much. It has no good water stab is the problem. You're relying on Hydro Pump, which is gonna miss 20% of the time, which is gonna sadly lose you games. Now Dialga is interesting. Not Palkia actually. It has to go one down. The Dialga is interesting because it gets telepathy. With its item, with its new form, it gets 30 special defense boost, and with Trick Room, it can sit next to Ursaluna. Ursaluna can spam Earthquake, and it is truly just an incredible strategy. I have seen people make it work, and I really recommend it. Groudon. Groudon goes in S tier. Bulk Up, Clear Amulet, Assault Vests, In Sun, promoting so many Pokemon. It is it's Groudon. It's been strong for generations, and it will most likely be strong for generations to come. Rayquaza. It's so difficult. I think it's underexplored. I think it could go up later, but right now it goes in C tier. It's too frail to do what it wants to do, which is Sword Stance, Clear Amulet, Extreme Speed. It's too frail, but with the right support, maybe somebody can make it work. Kyogre. Kyogre, so many people slander it. I have seen people make it very strong still. I truly still believe in Kyogre. With Rain setting, maybe even a Calm Mind set, which I've seen circle around, Water Spout, or yeah, Orange Pulse, I think it's called. which is his signature move, Ice Beam. It gets so many options. Terra Water can be strong with the right support. Just try it out. I keep saying that, but I really do think you should try it out. I put this in twice. Let's see. Ho-Oh. It has to go in C. I think in double restricted it could be strong, but in single restricted, you want your single restricted to hit hard, you want your single restricted to win you games, which sadly Ho-Oh cannot do. It is just not strong enough. I put Mewtwo in twice as well. Calyrex Ice. Both Calyrexes I'm going to put in S and I'm going to talk about them simultaneously. They're incredible. One is Truck Room, one is just general offensive. They both hit like a truck. They have amazing spread moves. They have great typings for their offensive powers. Both have coverage moves that are great. Just, I cannot stress enough how strong they both are. They are truly worth running. They are incredible. They are strong. They are meta staples. They are going to define the entirety of Regulation G and most likely double restricted as well. I am putting this in D tier. I have tried to make it work. It does not get the support tools it needs. Even if you give it Clear Amulet, it has no way of hitting any dark types. It is not worth it. Don't try it. Now, however, the last Pokemon I'll talk about. Oh wait, I forgot this. We have seen use cases with it. We have seen use cases with it. D tier. It supports some Pokemon like Trapagos really well. There are definitely teams in which it works. All right. Dawn Wings. It is. I am putting this in B tier. I have not seen any people try it, but I do think it is incredibly strong. It gets Meteor Beam to smack Incineroar now. It gets Expanding Force. If you can get a 0 speed with it, I think it truly has a niche. It might not be as good as some other Pokemon, but I think it's vastly underexplored, and I think you should definitely try it. Well, I hope this list has been useful. Maybe you guys have some new ideas on what to play. Maybe you guys have some new ideas on what can be strong. That'll be all for me. Bye.